You have saved $4 million. To most people, that sounds exactly like financial freedom. And it can be. But I've sat across the table from people with $10 million who were genuinely terrified they would run out of money, and some of them even did. I've also sat with people worth $1 million who have had total peace of mind. The difference had nothing to do with the number, but it had everything to do with whether they had a plan in place or not. And in this video, I'm going to show you 3 super important things. So number 1, what $4 million actually buys you in retirement. Number 2, what is working against you. And number 3, how to find out simply whether your number is enough. My name is Chris Ball, and I'm the CEO and founder of Hoxton Wealth. We manage over $4.4 billion for more than 10,000 clients worldwide. Just a quick note, this video is for information purposes only and does not constitute personal financial advice. You should always seek professional help. You might be surprised to hear that the number in your account is not what determines whether you can retire or not. Whether you can retire or not is completely reliant on your personal plan. Let me explain a bit further. One of the most common things I see is normally when someone walks in with a number they think should be enough for a comfortable retirement, but they're super anxious about it. It's not because the number is wrong, it's mainly around that they have no idea what the number is actually supposed to do. Maybe they've Googled it, they've asked a friend or watched the video, or even worse, they put their finger up in the air and picked the first number that came to their mind. And I know that sounds crazy, but you would be shocked at just how many people come up with their number that way. The problem is they have never thought about what retirement might really cost them. Sure, they might have thought about how much they'll need for their cruise next year or the family holiday the year after, but have they looked at what they will actually spend on a month-to-month basis? Of course they haven't, and that's the big mistake. They do not really understand the number they've picked and how they got to it. And every time they look at it, the question comes back to the same point. Is it enough? Now let's compare that to someone else I worked with recently. They didn't have a crazy net worth, but they did have a lot of peace of mind. They'd done the work to understand what money they were really going to need when they stopped working. When you understand this, there's no anxiety around what is really enough because you know how much you need. You have spent time working it out and you understand how you got to that number, so it all appears rational to you. If you're enjoying this video, we would really appreciate if you gave it a like and would subscribe to our channel for more useful retirement content. It means the world to us and helps us keep trying to produce useful retirement content just for you. So getting to your number and understanding it, of course, makes sense, but where do you start? So first, what I want you to do is write down everything you own that has value. That includes your bank accounts, your investments, your retirement accounts, your property, etc. Then write down everything you owe. So things like your mortgages, your credit cards, your loans, any big debts you've got. And when you deduct your liabilities from your assets, you are left with what we call your current net worth. And that is your starting line. For our example here, we're going to look at John. John is 62 and has a net worth of $4 million. That is clearly a very strong starting position, but it tells us nothing on its own. We now know where we're starting, but the real question is where are you going to end up? And what's it going to take to get there? Remember, retirement is not just one time frame on its own. For some of us, it could be over 30% of our life. It's not one long phase, and it's typically built up of 3 distinct phases, and they all demand something different. A lot of people plan for retirement as if it's a long holiday. They set one budget for the whole thing, and really that's the wrong way to think about it. So let's go back to John for a second. He retires at 62, he's healthy, he's got energy, he wants to travel, see his grandkids and play golf 3 times a week. That costs money, real money, and it will probably cost even more than his life costs right now. But if we fast forward 15 years to when John is 77, he's going to travel less. He's home more. The pace of life has changed. And of course, his spending has changed as a result of it. So you can see those are two completely different phases of retirement with two completely different amounts needed to fund the different times of your life. And the problem is most people only plan for one. So here is how to think about it. Phase one is active retirement. From when you stop working to roughly 75, this is when you're going to spend the most. You'll probably travel, you'll pick up a few extra new hobbies, and you'll have more time for new experiences. You want to budget generously for this phase because this is when you want to use it. Phase two is later retirement. This is from the age of 75 and beyond. And life, as you know, during this phase tends to slow down. Spending tends to reduce naturally. You may downsize, you're going to travel less. The number is lower. And for John, let's say active retirement is 120 grand a year and later retirement costs 80,000 a year. Those are two very different demands on the same $4 million. Make sure you have a plan for both and write down the numbers for each. So now you have your two numbers, what you need in active retirement and what you need later on. But here is the part that catches most people completely off guard. Another nasty surprise is also that those numbers are going to be bigger than you think because two forces are working against you, and they likely always will be. The dreaded inflation and tax. These are the two invisible forces that will erode your $4 million, and if you do not build them into your plan from day one, your numbers will not hold. Here is something worth thinking about. If John needs 120,000 a year today, in 15 years at just 2% inflation, that same lifestyle costs roughly $160,000 a year. That's an extra 40 grand a year just to stand still. And that's before tax. This is a mistake I see a lot of people making. Someone plans for a net income and forgets that a large part of what they're drawing down will be taxed on the way out, especially if it's held in retirement accounts or coming from property income. If you think you need $10,000 a month, the chances are that you will need to withdraw significantly more than that to actually land the 10K after tax. And the gap that creates over 20 or 30 years is huge. So here are the two rules that will change how you plan. The first one is always plan in gross and not in net. If you need 120K a year to live on, assume a tax rate and work backwards to the gross withdrawal that you will actually need to make to hit it. For a rough guide, if we assume, let's say, a 30% marginal tax rate, divide your net need by 0.7 to get that gross figure. Second, inflation at 2% annually is a reasonable long-term assumption. Apply it to every phase of your plan. The number that works today will need to grow year on year to buy the same thing. So for John, his 120 grand net need in active retirement becomes closer to $170,000 gross once you account for tax and inflation across that phase. That is the real number his plan needs to support. So now you have the three things that determine whether $4 million is enough. What it is today, what it needs to do across two phases of retirement, and the real gross number once inflation and tax have been factored in. Now comes the only question that matters. Does the plan hold? This is where you take everything you have and test it. You have your starting position, which is your net worth. You have your two spending phases, your active retirement and your later retirement. And you've adjusted both for inflation and tax to get your real gross income need each year. The question is simple. Does the pot last long enough? For John, $4 million drawing $170,000 gross in phase one and $115,000 gross in phase two, planning to age 95, he is in a strong position. It's not perfect or invincible, but definitely strong. What changes the outcome the most? The investment return you get on what is left. Even 1 or 2% extra growth across 20 years changes the final figure massively. And of course, the age you start drawing. Every year you delay retirement, the pot grows and the number of years it needs to support shrinks. These are the levers that we can pull. It's not the total figure, it's the plan around it. John with $4 million and a plan has peace of mind. John with $4 million and no plan has anxiety regardless of the number. The biggest unkept secret here is that this is not really about the 4 million. It's all about what you built it for. Traveling when you still have the energy to actually enjoy it, being present with your family without the weight of work sitting on your shoulders, waking up on a Monday morning and choosing how to spend your day. This is what the planning is for. The tax, the inflation, the withdrawal rates, those are just the things standing between you and that. If you want to understand how this applies to your specific situation, there is a link in the description to speak with a regulated financial planner who can help you map all of this out. We've also put a link through to our app, the Hoxton Wealth app, and a free expenditure tool that you can use to help you plan your retirement future. And if you want to go deeper on retirement planning, the next video is linked below. Thanks very much for watching and have a great day ahead.